quality of life, transportation, infrastructure. Those are some of the reasons why Karl Brady is running for Charleston City Council's District 5 seat. I sit down exclusively with Karl for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and download my free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Karl Brady, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Obviously, you're one of the candidates in the City of Charleston's City Council District 5 race.
Yep.
Against Marvin Wagner. Tell me, who is Karl Brady?
So, first of all, I always identify I'm an Eagle Scout. I believe in leaving things better than we found them, and that's what got me into this race.
Okay.
I hold a BA in History and Political Science from Wake Forest University. I also have a master's degree in Nonprofit Management from Northeastern University. So I've been in nonprofits now about 10 years, trying to help people get a hand up and not a handout. Right after college, I taught second grade in inner city Atlanta, Georgia, in a high-poverty school. So I've seen the impacts that municipal policy can have on our future in the form of our children.
And I know on your website, you basically laid out why you're running. You said this: with the secret out about Charleston being an amazing place to live, work, and raise a family, there are unprecedented strains on our city's leadership, infrastructure, and quality of life. What is the city's leadership right now?
I think that we are stuck and mired in doing the same things the same way and expecting a different result, which is basically the definition of insanity. So I think we have to change up how we're approaching our pressing problems, because we're at a precipice. If we don't change, flooding's going to continue to get worse, traffic's going to continue to get worse, and our quality of life is going to deteriorate.
What is the quality of life in District 5?
So it's primarily a residential area. It's Bees Ferry Road, Johns Island, and then in between Wapu and DuPont on Savannah Highway. So it's three very different areas with different needs. But I was just out on Johns Island on Monday night, and flooding and traffic are huge concerns there. And there's some common sense solutions like a smart light at the intersection of River Road and Maybank that the city just hasn't been able to put in yet, that I think with our kind of hard-charging, proactive approach we can take care of. And then it's in Outer West Ashley, traffic is a huge concern because it's really starting to affect the quality of life. Just coming downtown today, my neighborhood's 9 miles from downtown. It took me an hour to get downtown at 8 o'clock this morning.
Wow. What is your approach to the expansion of 526?
So I am in favor of expanding 526. My kind of position on it is, while we have the funding and county councils behind it, we need to at least get it to Maybank Highway to give another way on and off Johns Island. And then if we have the rest of the money to complete it to the James Island connector, then that's excellent. But we have to get it to Maybank Highway and River Road to relieve some of that congestion there.
How much money should they be able to get now?
For the completion of the project? I mean, the estimates right now are that it's going to be $1 billion with a B, which would make it one of the more expensive highway projects in the state. But it's a testimony to the gridlock and the obfuscation and the obstructionary tactics that have led to it increasing so much from when it was originally planned.
And I know when I interviewed Bill Moody for Quintin's Close-Ups a couple of weeks ago, he basically said, hey, it's been increasing because of delays with the Coastal Conservation League lawsuits.
I wouldn't just lay it at the feet of the Coastal Conservation League. There's been multiple tactics by people on county council and at the state level that have also led to those delays. So it's not just the lawsuits.
And then let me get back over to what you were saying about why you're running for city council. You also said this, quote, obviously, when it comes to the Charleston's at the crossroads. You said this, quote, do we keep doing the same things the same way and expecting a different result, or do we forge a new path?
Mm-hmm.
How would you forge a new path on city council?
Sure. So I think we have to have some consensus building on council right now. I think you can see there's various factions that have arisen over different issues, and we're not moving forward in a unified voice on council right now. I want to be proactive rather than reactive. If you're a homeowner, I think we all know this inherently. When you spot a problem with your house, if you fix it right away, it's going to be cheaper than if you keep kicking the can down the road and trying to fix it when the problem becomes to the point that there's no other choice. That's how we have to approach problems with the city. When we see it, we need to figure out the funding sources, the various methods that the city has, and go attack that problem proactively. I also think on forging the new path, we have to be better about constituent services, especially as elected representatives. I think a lot of the disappointment that people feel with the city is because their elected representatives aren't out there laying out what's going on before council. And also, Thomas Paine said eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Well, we have to have the citizens engaged, but it's also incumbent on the elected representatives to get out there and make our case for why things are important.
Let me stay on that because you said this quote, you deserve to know what is going on in District 5. What's going on right now?
Flooding on Johns Island. I mean, traffic, as I talked about before. And people just aren't aware of what's happening. And so they think there's a lot of backroom deals happening and a lot of smoke and mirrors when, I think a lot of the people at the city are very hardworking individuals doing their best to make Charleston a great place to live, work, and play. But if the elected representative who they can hold accountable isn't out there making that case, then people start to think there's duplicity on the part of the city.
You talk about obviously flooding. Let me take you to something developing news from last night. I'm pretty sure you were at City Council. I'm not sure if you are.
I was not. Okay. I had a previous commitment.
Okay. City of Charleston, the Charleston City Council obviously unanimously approved a first reading of a fill and bill ordinance. Mm-hmm. City Attorney Susan Hernandez said that the city's pending document ordinance does not apply because it isn't a zone ordinance. If you were on that planning commission or one of those commissions, how would you vote on this?
So I think that the fill and build ordinance, I think Councilmember Griffin's heart was in the right place, but I don't think it's comprehensive enough in that it doesn't also attack stormwater regulations and land use planning. Just saying we want to outlaw a building practice, it may placate some people, but we need to have a unified development ordinance in this city that pulls from all the different parts of the municipal code for zoning and land use and stormwater and building codes, and consolidate that into a unified development ordinance that would really lay out what it means to develop within the city of Charleston. And it would lay out the expectations clearly for developers, as well as the process that the city would need to follow. And we would also be able to take a hard look at the stormwater regulations and the zoning as part of that. So I don't think having these standalone ordinances does us a lot of good. We have to take a look across the board and make sure that we're doing the right thing by our people.
What should the stormwater procedure be?
So I think we have to look at, and this gets back to the fill and build practice.
Okay.
Daniel Island was a fill and build development, but it was a master plan. So there was a great stormwater management plan there, great egresses for the water to run off into the rivers, and Daniel Island doesn't flood as a result. It's the piecemeal approach to approving PUDs that are allowing fill and builds that aren't part of a comprehensive stormwater management system that have been the problem. So I think the Dutch dialogues are probably a good place to start, looking at how we can implement those and then tackling the rest of the stormwater manual.
And how should the city proceed with that?
So obviously we need public input, hearing from people about the flooding that they have going on, the problems that they're having. The Dutch have lived and managed stormwater since 600 or so years ago. So they're very experienced with this. One of the things we have to look at, the Dutch operate in a 10,000-year floodplain. In the United States, we operate on a 100-year floodplain. So they don't allow building in areas that are prone to flooding. We can probably learn from that.
What would you do on day one in one word?
In one word, proactive.
Karl Brady, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups. I'm sorry for the quick interview.
That's no problem. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.